In the year 2439, Earth was no longer alone in the universe. Humans had explored the stars, built cities on Mars, and sent ships beyond the edge of the solar system, but no one had ever met aliens until the day the message came. It was a soft humming signal received by a deep space antenna on Neptune's moon Triton. The message was short and strange. It said, "We have seen your kind. Do it again. Humans show us the long organ of." Thought no one understood what it meant. Was it a threat, a request, a test? The message repeated itself every day for 2 months. After long debates, Earth's leaders made a decision. They would answer it. Commander Elias Rook was chosen to lead the mission. He was calm, smart, and brave. He had explored black holes and flown through asteroid storms, but this mission was different. He wouldn't be flying through danger. He would be talking to a species no one had ever met. Elias stood at the launch bay of the Orion reached Earth's newest exploration ship. It was tall, silver, and fast. With him were 3 other crew members: Dr. Lena Voss, a physicist and expert in alien tech; Mara John, a diplomat trained in alien cultures; and Dr. Peter Kwan, a psychologist who studied the human brain. As they prepared to leave, Elias looked up at the stars and said quietly, "Let's go meet the neighbors." The journey took 12 days. Through wormhole travel, they followed the signal to a distant star system called Valeris 9. As the ship arrived, they saw something beautiful, a floating station the size of a mountain. It was shaped like a spiral shell, glowing with soft blue lights. Hundreds of tiny ships moved around it like bees around a hive. A voice came over the radio. It was soft and musical, but not human. "Welcome, humans. We are the Virelians. We wish to see your thought again." Come. The team looked at each other in surprise. "They speak English?" Mira asked. Peter shook his head. "No, they're translating thoughts directly into our minds." "That's advanced," Lena said. "Very advanced." They docked. The Orion reached to the alien station. The airlock opened, and they stepped into a place like nothing they had ever seen. The walls shimmered like water. Strange creatures floated in the air, thin, tall beings with long arms and glowing eyes. They had no mouths, but when they spoke, their thoughts echoed in the humans' heads. One of the aliens floated forward. "You are the human Rook. You made the long shape. You shape thoughts we remember." Elias was confused. "I don't understand. What shape?" The alien pointed not with a hand, but with light from its head. A glowing doorway appeared. "Come show us again." Enter the memory garden. The crew followed the alien through the doorway. On the other side was a strange room. It had no walls, only stars. The floor was soft like clouds. In the center stood a crystal orb. "This is your place now." The alien said, "Here your thoughts will lie. Build shape, show us." Suddenly the orb glowed. Images began to appear. Memories from Elias's life, his first spacesuit walk, his mother reading him books, his brother building toy rockets. More images came. A fire on Mars, the death of a friend, a dream of flying. Without a ship, Peter gasped. They're pulling his memories into the room. It's like they're watching imagination. Lena said. Elias looked around. The images shifted and moved like paintings coming alive. The alien nodded. "Yes, this is the long organ of your kind. Not your brain, your mind, your imagination. We lost ours long ago, too. Much logic, too much control. But you still have it. You want us to show you how it works." Elias asked. "Do it again. Human makes something new, not memory, not past. Show us." Thought born from nothing. Elias took a deep breath. He stepped forward and placed a hand on the orb. He thought of something new, a floating island in the sky with birds made of glass and trees that whispered songs. The image began to form in the air. The Virulins watched silent and still. Then the trees sang a real sound. The alien gasped. "You shape sound with no tools. You build with no hands. You dream." And the dream walks. Lena was amazed. There, learning from us, not just watching. They're studying how humans imagine. Peter whispered, "They lost this ability. Maybe we're the only ones left who can still create like this." Suddenly the lights in the room dimmed. The orb pulsed. Once and twice. This alien said, "Another test comes. If you pass, we will share our secrets. If you fail, we will forget you." "Wait," Mara said. "What test? What happens?" Now the alien pointed to Elias. "He must go alone into the realm of unshaped thought. There his mind must walk. Without help, what he brings back will decide your fate." A new door opened. It was dark and deep. Elias looked at his crew. "I'll go if this is what they want. I'll give it my best. Be careful." Peter said, "You're not just Representing Earth, you're representing imagination itself. Elias stepped into the dark. Doorway closed behind him. The room disappeared. Elias was floating in empty space alone. There were no stars, no sound, just a soft hum like distant music then. A voice low and calm spoke. You brought wonder, now bring truth. What do you truly fear, human? What do you truly hope for? And from the darkness, something began to form, not from the aliens, not from machines, but from Elias's own mind. His final test had begun. Commander Elias Rook floated alone in the dark. He could not see the stars, the ship, or his crew. There was only silence and the soft hum of something alive in the blackness. This was a realm of unshaped thought. It had no walls, no floor, no sky, just endless space waiting to be filled. A voice echoed around him, calm and deep. What do you truly fear, human? What do you truly hope for? Show us. Elias took a deep breath. He knew this was part of the test the Virulons wanted him to create. Something not from tools, not from memories, but from inside his own mind. He closed his eyes. He thought of warmth, of light, of safety. Slowly, a small glowing orb appeared in front of him. It looked like a tiny sun. Then more shapes formed. A field of green grass, a sky, a soft purple clouds, and birds flying through the air. He opened his eyes and smiled. He had made something. But then the light began to fade. A cold wind blew. The sky cracked like glass. A shadow crawled over the grass, growing larger and darker. The voice returned. That is hope. Now show us fear. Elias's heart beat faster. The shadow took shape, tall with long arms and no face. It reminded him of the fire he once survived on Mars. He watched a friend vanish in smoke. The fear returned, now stronger than ever. The dark creature stepped forward. Elias froze. Is this part of the test? He asked out loud. His voice echoed into nothing. The creature raised its hand, and the world he created vanished. Only darkness remained. Suddenly a new voice whispered, softer and closer than before. You cannot run from what's inside to lead us. You must master it. Elias felt like the voice wasn't from the Virulons. It was something older. He focused again. His thoughts sharpened. He remembered why he was here, to help to bring imagination back to a dying race. He imagined a shield made of fire, not to hurt, but to protect. It formed in front of him. The shadow tried to reach him, but the shield held strong. Then he imagined a bridge, a path made of light stretching through the darkness. He walked forward step by step until the darkness faded behind him. Back on the alien station, Lena, Mira, and Peter waited. The glowing orb in the memory garden pulsed gently. Virulence floated around it, their glowing eyes dim and quiet. He's been in there for hours, Mira said, pacing. Peter stared at the orb. Time might move differently in that realm. His thoughts could be moving faster or slower than ours. Lena added, the Virulents aren't saying much, just watching. Suddenly the orb glowed bright red. Peter jumped to his feet. That's new. The lead Virulon approached them. Its voice echoed softly in their minds. He faces a trial. He is near the turning point. Mira asked the Virulent, showed them a vision, a great tree with two paths. One led to light, the other to darkness. Then the vision vanished. Peter whispered, he has to choose. Elias stood at a crossroads. In front of him were two doors, one golden, glowing with peace and music, the other dark and cold with wind howling behind it. The voice returned, the easy path brings safety, the hard path brings truth. Choose. He stared at the golden door. It looked calm and kind. He stepped toward it, but stopped. Something felt wrong, too easy, too quiet. Then he remembered the Virulons. They had lost their imagination because they chose safety for too long. That's what they were afraid of. Elias turned and walked toward the dark door. He stepped through it. At first there was only wind and shadow, but as he walked he saw flickers of light. Paintings appeared on walls, paintings he had never seen before, but somehow knew. A city in the clouds, a machine that ran on laughter, a ship shaped like a whale. He realized something. These weren't his thoughts, these are their thoughts. He said aloud, the Virulents' dreams, the ones they forgot. The voice returned, but now it was no longer distant. It was beside him. Yes, you brought them back by facing fear. You unlocked our forgotten minds. You are not just human, you are a mirror. Elias stepped into a final room where the walls were mirrors in each one. He saw a different version of himself, older, younger, smiling, crying. In the center stood a single book. He opened it. The pages were blank. He picked up a pen and began to write outside the orb in the memory garden. Exploded with color. The room filled with bright light. The Virulons floated back, singing in strange, beautiful tones. Elias walked out of the Doorway, his eyes were calm, but glowing faintly, the lead Verilyn floated forward. You passed a trial of thought. You shaped fear into hope. You brought back the lost dreams. Mira smiled. What did you see in there? Elias replied, everything, not just me, them there. Memories, their imagination. It's still, they're just waiting to wake up. Peter nodded. You didn't just pass a test, you gave them something they forgot they had. Lena looked at the Verilyn. So what now? The Verlin answered, now we learn from you, you will guide us. Together we will build a new garden. Suddenly the station began to shift. The walls changed, colors, shapes floated in the air, some human, some alien, all. Imagine it was no longer a quiet place. It was alive. The Verilyn sang a new song. A celebration. One of them floated to Elias and said, do it again, human show. Us more. He smiled. This time we'll do it together. The Varilon station was no longer quiet after Commander Elias Rook passed a trial of thought. Everything began to change. Walls, once smooth and gray, now glowed with color. Shapes floated in the air, some like birds, others like stars. And some too strange to name. Elias stood in the middle of the memory garden with his crew. Lena, Mira, and Peter, the lead Verilyn, floated nearby, its body glowing. With soft blue light, you opened a locked mind. It said, now we ask you, human, teach us how to build again, not with tools, but with dreams. Elias nodded. Then let's begin. They started small in the center of the station. The Virilons created a new space. It was like a classroom, but not like any on Earth. There were no desks or books. Instead, the room was made of light and sound. When someone had a thought, the walls changed to match. Elias and his crew took turns leading lessons. Lena showed the Virelans how humans imagine new machines, engines powered by sunbeams, ships shaped like leaves, computers that dream. Mira spoke of human stories, tales of love, bravery, and kindness. As she spoke, the stories became images in the air. The Virilons watched. Silent and wide-eyed, Peter taught the idea of choice. Imagination is not just about dreams. He said, it's about what you decide to do with them. You can build peace or war, hope or fear. The Virilons listened carefully. They asked questions like, children seeing the world for the first time. One said, you imagine without fear. A mistake, we forgot how to do this. Another asked, why do humans dream things that are not real? Peter answered, because sometimes that's how we make them real. One Virelyn, smaller than the rest, became close to the humans. It called itself Solari, a name it had never used before. It spent hours near Elias, watching and copying him. One day, Solari floated near the garden orb and touched it. A tree appeared, but it was strange, half glowing, half crumbling. I wanted to make a tree of light, Solari said, but it broke. Elias smiled gently. That's okay, mistakes help us learn. Solari blinked. You are not sad. It broke. No, Elias said, because now we can fix it together. He placed his hand on the orb. The tree shimmered, its broken parts turning to soft gold. Then the leaves began to sing. Solari looked amazed. That was beautiful. You helped make it, Elias said. As days passed, the garden became something new. It was no longer a room for watching thoughts. Now it was a shared world, a living place of stories, music, and dreams. Humans and Virelans created side by side. They built floating bridges, castles in the clouds, and ships that swam through the air. Some ideas failed, some became great wonders, but no one was afraid of failure anymore. Even the station itself started to change. New shapes grew along its walls, like the station was dreaming too, but not all was perfect. One morning, a warning light flashed on the Ori and reached Lena. Ran diagnostics and frown weave picked up a signal. She said, it's not Virilyn, it's another ship fast-headed this way. Elias joined her at the screen. Friend or enemy unknown, she replied, but they're not answering our calls. Peter walked in. What if they're not here to share? What if they want to control the Virilons? Elias looked at the station's glowing ceiling. Then we need to be ready. They called a meeting with the Virilons. The signal might be a danger. Mira said, do you have defense systems? The lead Virilyn floated forward. No, we believe we no longer needed them. Maybe it's time to remember how. Elias said, not to fight, but to protect what we've built here. Solari floated close. Can we imagine defense? Elias nodded. Yes, but defense should protect life, not destroy it. Together they worked on something new, a dream shield in the garden. Elias placed his Hand on the orb, he thought of Earth's best defenders, firefighters, healers. Those who protect the weak, the virulins, added their own. Thoughts fields of invisible energy light that bent around danger. Soon a barrier formed around the station that looked like soft mist, but sensors showed it was strong as Diamond. Lena smiled that should hold hours later. The unknown ship arrived. It was large, dark, and quiet. It circled the station. Scanning it, then it sent a message. The station holds great power, surrender it. Or we take it by force. Elias stood tall in the command room. We won't give it up. This place is not a weapon, it's a home for creation. No reply came suddenly. The enemy ship fired a blast at the dream shield, but it held strong in the garden. Salari gasped. They try to break our dreams. Then let's show them the truth. Elias said the crew and Virulons worked together, shaping a message not with words, but with shared thought. They created an image, a garden blooming in space, a bridge of light connecting many worlds, humans and Virulons dreaming side by side. They sent it toward the enemy ship. There was silence, then slowly the ship turned it back away. Engines quiet. Moments later, it vanished into the stars. Peter exhaled. They understood, or at least they respected it. Mira added the lead Viren, said, "You defend it without harm. That is the power of true imagination." That night, if such a thing existed in space, the memory garden glowed brighter. Then ever so Laurie floated beside. "Elias, you helped us remember. You showed us we can build again." And now Elias said, "We can imagine together." The garden bloomed. A new world was being born, not from tools or machines, but from minds working as one, and it had only just begun. The memory garden was growing stronger every day. New shapes floated in the sky, castles, forests, rivers made of color. Humans and violins built side by side, laughing, learning, dreaming. Commander Elias Rook walked along a glowing path deep in thought. Beside him floated Salari, the young virulin, who had become like a student and a friend. "You've learned fast," Elias said with a smile. "You create with feeling now, not just logic." Salari blinked its soft blue eyes. "That is because of you, Elias. You showed us that thought is more than answers, it is heart." But far beyond the station, something stirred. A dark wave moved through the stars, not made of matter, but of broken minds, forgotten dreams lost. Thoughts of virulins had once tried to store their unwanted memories in a deep part of space, but over time those memories gathered strength. Now they were coming back, and they were angry. The first sign came as a flicker in the memory garden. A beautiful tower made by Mira and Salari turned to ash without warning. A cold wind blew through the station lights. Flickered shapes twisted. Peter rushed to the controls of the Orion Reach. "Something's wrong. There's strange energy outside the station. It's like a storm made of thoughts." Lena scanned the data, not just thoughts, old thoughts, heavy, broken, and full of fear. Elias stood up. "They're coming back, the memories they tried to hide." Mira whispered, "What if they became something worse?" They called a meeting with the Virulons. The lead elder floated forward, its light dimmer than before. "We did not destroy our fears. We buried them, but even buried roots grow." Elias nodded. "And now they want to be seen." A low rumble passed through the station. Outside, the stars flickered like candlelight. Then the dream shield, the one they had built together, shook. A voice deep and broken echoed across the station. "You left us behind. You forgot us. Now remember." So Laurie trembled. That voice, it is part of us, but it feels wrong. Peter checked the systems. The storm is getting closer. If it hits us directly, it might erase everything we imagined. Elias took a breath. "Then we have to face it, just like we did the first trial." They gathered in the garden where the orb glowed weakly. Elias placed his hand on it again. "Let's do what we did before, not alone, but together." Lena, Mira, and Peter joined him. So did Solari. Then, one by one, more Virulins gathered. They focused. They remembered everything they had built. Castles in the sky, bridges of light, songs of peace. The orb glowed brighter. The station hummed with power. Then the storm arrived. It did not hit like wind or fire. It came like silence. One by one, their creations began to fall. The colors turned gray. The floating shapes twisted into sharp shadows. Some Virulins cried out. Others froze, trapped in old thoughts. Solari gasped, "I see pain. Sadness I see." When we gave up, Elias felt it too. The storm showed him memories not his own, but the Virulins' moments of lost, failure, fear. He saw a world that once sang, then went silent. Mira whispered, "It's not just a storm, it's a cry for help." Elias stood tall. "Then we must answer it." He stepped into the center of the garden and called out We see you, he shouted into the storm. You are not forgotten. The storm slowed, the shadows circled him. You were part of them once, Elias said, and you still are, but hiding fear makes it worse. Facing it gives it power to change the shadows. Twisted, some hissed, some cried. Then Solari floated forward. I was afraid of you, but Elias taught me fear is not. The enemy, fear, is a teacher. Solari reached out to a shadow. It trembled then, turned into a soft light. Others followed. Lena took Mira's hand. Peter placed his hand on the orb again. Each human and each Virulon reached out to their own fear, and each other. Slowly the storm began to clear. The memory garden started to bloom again where shadows had walked. Now grew flowers made of light. The orb glowed like a second sun. Music returned. Soft, peaceful tones that filled the station. The lead Virulon floated forward. You did not destroy the storm. You helped it change. Elias nodded. Because every part of us, even the dark ones, can help us grow. If we listen. That night the humans and Virulons gathered in the garden. They created a new monument, a glowing tree with roots reaching both up and down. One side held colors and shapes, the other held whispers and shadows. Together they formed balance. We will not hide our fears any more, said the lead elder. We will remember them and learn. Solari floated near. Elias, will we have more storms? Maybe, Elias said, but now we know how to face them. The garden sang again. Together they had survived the storm. Together they had grown stronger. The memory garden was no longer just a garden. It was now the heart of something much greater, a new way of life. Humans and Virulons had built it together, dream by dream, thought by thought. They had faced fear, and they had changed. The future commander, Elias Rook, stood at the edge of the glowing orb, watching the colors move like water. Solari floated beside him. It is quiet now. Yes, Elias replied, but it is the good kind of quiet, the kind that comes after something important. The storm of lost minds had passed, and something new had taken its place. Hope. Lena worked at the edge of the station where the Virulons had opened a new port for travel. With Peter's help, she built a docking system that used light energy instead of metal clamps. It was simple, peaceful, and smart. Just like the things they had learned from the Virulons. We can connect other ships now, Lena said, even ones from Earth. Peter nodded. We should tell them. The world needs to know what we found here. Mira sat in the memory garden, writing in her journal. It's more than just a discovery, she said quietly. It's the start of something new back on Earth. No one had heard from the Orion Reach. For weeks, some feared the crew was lost. Others believed they had found something dangerous and didn't want to return. When a message finally arrived, it wasn't just words, it was a vision. The humans sent a dream, record scenes of the memory garden. The glowing Virulons, a tower of shared thought, the storm that had been healed. Everyone who watched it felt something deep inside, a spark of wonder. Earth's leaders didn't know how to respond. Some wanted to send scientists, others wanted control, but most of all, people were curious. Can we join them? A child asked. During a broadcast, Elias's voice answered gently, you already have. You only need to imagine. Weeks later, the first Earth ship arrived. It was smaller than the Orion Reach, with a mixed crew of thinkers, artists, and builders. They came not to take, but to learn. The Virulons welcomed them with open minds. A garden made space for more dreams. New shapes appeared. Music from Africa, stories from India, dances from South America, cultures from Earth blended with Virulon thought in ways no one had seen before. One Virulon touched the mind of a painter from Earth and said, you see the world in color even when it is dark. Teach us. A teacher from Earth replied, only if you teach us how to build with light. Elias watched it, all his heart full. We're not just exploring space anymore, he told Solari. We're exploring each other. Solari nodded. And we are becoming something greater. One day, the lead Virulon called for a meeting. Its voice rang across the station like a calm bell. It is time, it said, time to open the bridge. Everyone gathered in the center of the memory garden. The orb was brighter than ever, and its light spread across the station like roots. What is the bridge? Mira asked. The elder replied, it is a doorway between minds, between worlds, a way to share. Without fear, we once closed it long ago, but now we will open again. Elias stepped forward. Are you sure we're ready? The Virulon smiled. We are ready because we are not perfect. We are ready because we choose to try together. They placed their hands, human and Virulon, on the orb. It pulsed. Once, twice, then opened a tall gateway of light, rose from the center of the garden that shimmered with every thought that had been shared, both joyful and painful. It was not a machine, it was. Alive, the bridge Solari floated near it. It feels like home and adventure. At the same time, Peter smiled. That's the best kind of journey. The bridge did not lead to a single place. It led to many. Every time someone stepped through it, it would take them to where their heart needed to go. When Virulon stepped in and vanished, then reappeared with a smile. I saw a world full of music. I danced in the rain. A human girl followed. She came back, crying with joy. I met a future version of myself. She was kind. Elias looked at the bridge. Where would you go? Mira asked him. He thought for a long moment. Not far. I've already found what I was searching for. Mira looked surprised. What's that connection? He said simply not. Long after more virulence began using names, more humans began dreaming awake. New stations were imagined stations that would orbit other stars, connect other minds. A memory garden remained the heart of it all, and above it stood the tree with glowing roots and shining leaves, a tree that held both fear and hope. Each year, more people came through the bridge, not just a visit, but to share their ideas, their stories, their kindness. The universe had always been big, but now it was becoming close. Solari watched a group of human children dance with floating lights. Do you think this will last forever? Elias, older now, nodded. Not the way it is. Nothing stays the same, but it will grow. Solari asked, even when you're gone. Elias smiled especially. Then that's what stories are for. Solari looked at the garden. Then let's make sure it never stops. That night the stars around the station seemed to shine brighter, not because of light, but because of meaning. The bridge glowed softly, and somewhere beyond it new minds were waiting to join.